Hello, guys. Welcome back to another episode of All the Rumors Are True. And we have Eric Jensen back today.
Back again,
Back
round
again.
two.
Thanks for coming
fun.
back.
Of course.
We got a lot of really good response from the first one. And I wanted to do a follow-up for a few reasons. But one of them was I just went to the doctor. So,
okay.
you know,
Which doctor?
My primary care physician.
Okay.
And, you know,
Wasn't like the butt doctor or something?
No, was not that. Okay. And as all the listeners know, like I'm constantly with UTIs, right?
Uh-huh.
So I haven't had one since I've seen you because I took that powder stuff that you gave me.
Gotcha. Okay. Hey, that's great news. I don't know if
it's great.
Yeah.
And so I thought I was getting one and you were like, it doesn't really taste that good. And I was like, it's not bad. And I mean, I was just done. You were like, however many scoops a day.
Yeah,
I mean, I drank the whole freaking thing. But guess what? No UTI.
Oh, all right.
So I got my blood work
Win-win.
back.
I love to hear that.
Same. Because, it's great to not have to take 14 days of Cipro. And then I'm nauseous and sunburnt and whatever else comes along
all the other
with
things
it.
that come along with it.
Yeah,
my leg fell off. UTI went away, but my leg fell off. But they have another pill that puts the leg back.
Yes, they gave me something else to take for that problem. Then I got a yeast infection. So then,
round and round we go. Mm-hmm.
So when I was at the doctor last week, I got my blood work back, and he had stripped me from like all my medications. And dude, my blood work has improved.
Okay, awesome.
The one thing.
How many meds were you on?
So let's see. At one point, like I was on like cholesterol, blood pressure.
Oh, the statins too.
Yeah, like all this stuff. And you had told me a long time ago, like, don't take that shit mill.
Yeah.
And that was with the other doctor that I fired. Well, this one, he doesn't roll that way. He's very like, I want your body clean. You don't need all these meds unless it's something, you know, if I had diabetes,
They don't know my name on here, right?
Yes.
They do know my name?
Yes.
Okay, well then that's just connected to telling you to stop taking medications. I feel like I might be in danger now.
No, we can edit that out. This is.
That's right. Okay, good.
Yeah, we'll do that.
What's his name? Where's he live?
My wife died because I took his advice. Imagine. Well, no. If you had diabetes, you probably should have been taking your insulin.
Right. Yeah. Yep.
But one thing that I learned throughout this latest process with him is how acidic I am, and those acidity that I'm like urinating out can feel like a UTI. So he was like, hey, I want you to, this is before I saw him last week. He's like, I want you to get these pH strips off Amazon, whatever. And sure enough, I peed in a cup and it was like the highest acidity level for the urine. He's like, that's probably why you feel like you're constantly having a UTI.
Right. Interesting. So
you know what he did to level that out?
Moved one of your meds off your schedule?
No, he started me on baking soda and water every day. It tastes terrible, but I can tell a difference.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because your body has, you know, buffering mechanisms, specifically like your kidneys have mechanisms to, you know, maintain a more consistent pH, right? If something's, you know, too acidic, then we move buffering mechanisms into the urine to augment that, right? So it could be very possible that there could be a combination of meds that would disable your kidneys from being able to perform that basic function, right?
Right.
Just something to think about.
Well, because I came home and heavily started researching because he's like, we don't really know what's causing this acidity in your body. He's like, because there's so many things that it could be what I eat, what I drink or whatever. And I'm like, doc, you don't understand. I'm like, I drink water. Yeah. Like I don't do sodas. I don't do coffee. I don't do tea. I don't do any of that. And he's like, well, but it could be something you're eating. And he's like, we need to just take it one step at a time. He's like, because we don't want to just strip away all of these foods and then the acidity's down and then we don't know which one caused it.
Yep.
So we started with the baking soda.
Well, I can tell you, I recently did a full genome panel, which is something.
Okay, how was that?
Well, it's great, but it's also one of those things that once you do it, the amount of information that comes out of it, you feel like you're drinking out of a fire hose. So
Really?
there's so much data,
Right.
that it is, and we don't really still have, our knowledge is so little in that category. So we're trying to still, get our hands around the data that comes out of those types of workups, and so my point was that one of the things that I learned through that genome workup was that there's a couple of things that were glaring that my body doesn't do well, right? So my point was, to your situation, it's like when you get into that level of testing, you may learn things about your body where it's like, okay, my body does not utilize manganese, some random mineral very well. And then there's a downstream effect of that this part of your body, your prostate in my situation might not be living the way it should be living because of my genetic makeup and how I metabolize various different minerals and what the downstream effects of that, lack of efficiency are.
Well, I ordered one of those tests because I saw, I don't know, his name's Gary something. And he has one because it's not cheap, but also but
it's a huge amount of data. And you can understand why it's not cheap when you
and your health matter, right?
Yeah, and
it's worth the money. Yeah.
I mean, the only other genome information we have is like, oh, well, I know I came from Europe, and my ancestors all came from Europe, and these were common problems in that area, and my genetic makeup seems to follow that to a degree.
Right.
But now we're really, sort of sharpening our ability to look at some of that data and understand a little bit more deeply. Still tip of the,
Did your wife do one?
She did. We haven't read her information yet.
Okay. So yeah, I ordered one and it's in my office, and I need to do it.
Yeah.
I just haven't done it yet because
Is it a saliva test? Like you furnish them with saliva,
I
right?
think so.
That's how mine was. Okay.
It's like in a box. Like,
yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So I want to do that. I want to do that.
You
Yeah.
got spit.
Yeah.
Or however that goes. I don't know.
Whatever happened to that girl?
I don't know.
I think she screwed a lot of people with like Bitcoin or something and then got sued. Something
quick
weird.
Rise, quick fall.
Very quick. Well, okay. So I know that you have a friend or a story that you and I were going to talk about. And I was like, we'll save it for the pod. I was like, because it ties into medicine.
Oh, yeah. What was that? That was my wound healing story, I think.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So, this is actually really cool.
I'm excited.
I had a friend. So I know we're not doing names, but this is actually appropriate because he was like a motorcycle rider, and so his motorcycle, they all have handles, sort of names.
Oh yeah.
So his name was Lunchbox, which this is not going to be like attached to him in any way. But another buddy of mine calls me and say, "Hey, Lunchy's in trouble with his leg, and they want to amputate it. So can you just take a look at it?" And I heard that, and I'm like, "What am I going to do about an amputation? I don't." He's got to have his fucking leg amputated. What am I going to do?
Yeah, you're like, I'm not a wound doctor.
I was like, what happened to him? He's like, well, he's in a motorcycle wreck. And he fell off his bike, accident, and his whole lower leg below the knee on the right side is just all completely fucked off with, road rash and everything else that happens in a motorcycle wreck. And I was like, okay, well, why are they going to amputate his leg? He's like, well, he's diabetic, so he's not healing. It's too many pieces of skin to graft, so he's not healing, and it's been months. And I was like, okay, well, it's quite a bit of pressure to look at somebody that's about to have their leg amputated and see if I can help. But I'm like, if they're going to cut his fucking leg off anyway, like, what the hell am I going to do that's going to follow that up?
Right. Right.
So I'm like, all right, let me go talk to him. So, I go over there, and, he's in this little like single bedroom apartment, they don't have a whole lot of money. And he's laying on the couch, and I was like, all right, man, hey, let's see the leg. I heard about the amputation and this and that. And so he's got bandages all over it and pulls it off. And I was just like, holy shit, like that's a lot of road rash. These are like, looked like lakes of just open flesh on his lower leg, and I was like, oh my god, this is a lot of stuff, and it's not healing up for you. And he's like, yeah, dude, and I'm not gonna be able to ride anymore. I don't want him to cut my leg off. And I'm like, okay, so give me a couple days. Let me roll some things around, because at the time I was working with this guy that was just incredibly intelligent in all aspects of healing. So him and I powwowed, and we came up with some ideas on just how to get his body to start repairing the tissue around those cuts, the road rash. And so we came up with this sort of, holistic poultice of combination of things that just were various different elements. Some of the elements were designed to, sort of remove bacteria that might be in the wound, and other things were designed to just sort of help propagate the body's normal healing abilities. So, one of the things that we used in the mix was Manuka honey, which has a very long-standing history of, being able to debride a wound, which is basically when you go in and mechanically clean a wound, but to do it on a sort of a cellular level without having to get in there and root around in the wound. So between the owner that I was speaking to and myself, we just came up with this combination of elements to put on these cuts, and we're going to see what happens. Yeah, and so.
Like, he's getting amputated anyway.
Right.
So we can try it. And if it doesn't do anything, they're still going to cut his leg off. They're still going to cut it off. Yeah.
It's kind of a great scenario to be involved in, honestly, when you think about it, because you don't really have a lose scenario here. The worst loss is they're going to do already what they've been planning on doing
anyway, right?
Amputating his leg. So it did take the pressure off a bit. So, I came up with this protocol, myself and my friend that was advising me. And, we basically were going to, twice a day, he was going to, apply some cleaning elements to the wound that were amongst, citric acid, colloidal silver. So it was going to be a little bit of a painful process in the initial stages, because some of those cuts were slightly infected.
Oof.
Because it wasn't healing
I could imagine.
Right. Yeah. So we started with that, and I said, twice a day, I need you to basically, get in the shower, rinse the wounds, then apply this, citric acid combination to the top of the wound, and then we're going to pack it with, a combination of a few different essential oils and Manuka honey. And you're going to do that morning and night. So follow the protocol and let's see what happens. And he was all in. He didn't want to lose his leg.
Right. Well, yeah. If he was a motorcyclist,
he's like, I want to ride, man. I got to get back out there.
Yeah.
So within, I would say, 2 weeks of us repeating this scenario every day, I went over there and we uncovered his wounds, and there was a little rim of pink skin forming around the edges of all of the cuts.
I mean, that means it's healing.
Right. So, and the wounds are healing from the outside. If you've ever had a cut or something,
right.
You see how big, it heals from the outside in.
Right.
So I was like, okay, this is great news. 2 weeks, we're seeing progress. So I was like, hey, Lunchy, keep doing what you're doing. This is awesome.
Yeah.
So 8 weeks, I think it was, maybe 10, totally, we had pink skin over everything. Within 3 months, it was completely healed.
Wow.
Yeah. And, I guess really amazing, but I guess not so amazing, because again, to my earlier points when we just talk about healing in general, I feel like we don't really arm our body with the things that it could use or need to truly heal.
Right.
And this was just exemplary of that. And he was so excited. He went back to his doctor, and his doctor
couldn't believe his eyes, probably.
Right.
Yeah.
This is unbelievable, but whatever. And he just, to this day, he just calls me my witch doctor. Hey, if you need to talk to somebody, go, my witch doctor over here to save my leg, because he's a real gruff guy, beard, like you would picture typical sort of, rough around the edges military Harley rider.
That is just the crazy. I feel like I would be like indebted to you for the rest of my life. I'd be like, Thank you so much. You saved my leg.
Well, and that to me, what the interesting part is like, holy shit, he didn't have to amputate his fucking leg.
Right. See, and that's scary though.
Right. Very scary.
That's scary as shit. Because if you, as you and I both know, if you get in the wrong hands with the wrong doctor, it can really fuck you up.
Yeah.
Like, and not in a good way.
Right.
So when I was in my car accident, all those years ago, I did not have good care, and no one really explained to me the feelings that I was going to have with like the fractured ribs, and also the PTSD and the anxiety portion of it.
Just basically reliving that moment.
Yes.
Right?
But nobody explained to me like how to cope with that. Mm-hmm. They were just kind of like, okay, well, we sewed you back up and you're good to go and you can go back to work. And the first day I went back to work, I fainted because I had been, in the ICU in the hospital and then just laying down.
Right.
And I went back to work quick, like way too soon. And they ended up giving me
was that a couple weeks?
Yes.
Wow.
Like, I'm not kidding. I think I got home from the hospital and I was back at work like a week later.
Near-death car accident.
Near-death car accident.
Get back in the
saddle. I fainted. I fainted at work. And that was one of the first times that I was like, well, damn, you should listen to your body. Don't try to push it. And then my boss was like, absolutely not. Go home and take as much time as you need. But
well, that's nice to have that support.
Yes, she was a great boss. I still talk to her to this day. Like, she doesn't live here in Texas, and she wasn't from Texas, but she doesn't live in Texas anymore, but we still talk. But I just think back on that, and I'm like, why wouldn't these doctors tell me just really kind of anything with, like, I wasn't advised of anything. It was like, oh, we stitched you up. Like, you can go back home and go to work.
Beat it, kid.
Yeah. It's just like kind of scary. Like, and then now, after the experience I had with this last doctor and ended up in the hospital from this like lingering UTI, it's scary because this man was literally listening to he was in the wrong set of hands and he was listening to the wrong doctor and would have lost his leg.
Yeah.
Without trying all kinds of different.
Yeah. Well, and that just brings me to the sort of it makes you question what the ultimate goal is with healing, right? Is the ultimate goal really to be healed?
To get me healed, or is it to get me in here every month?
Right. Like now we got you on a peg leg and we can slap a $200,000, AI rig on your lower leg that's going to just be better than your regular leg.
Right.
Your normal leg. So I guess if you look at it all from a business perspective, it
is a business.
It doesn't feel it right. It doesn't feel as sinister as, oh, well, we could have healed you, but that's really not in our best interest.
Yeah.
So
like
doesn't make us as much.
When it doesn't make us as much money, we're not going to be using the hospital and the anesthesiologist and then getting the prosthetic. Yeah.
Right.
But that's an awesome story.
I think it's pretty cool too.
I mean, that's crazy awesome.
Right. And ever really before that, I've always had an interest in wound healing in general because when you look at how if you go into a hospital for a large wound like that, they want to pack it with things that are supposedly going to keep it from getting infected, but all the same things that we pack it with, they're loaded with petroleum and these things, they suffocate all of that porous tissue that's supposed to be able to breathe and drive blood flow, and then we're not allowing for real healing to happen.
Right.
It's like you look at Neosporin, white petroleum stuff that you're putting on a wound. It helps heal cuts 3 times faster or whatever their tagline is.
Right.
Like, petroleum, it doesn't help your cuts heal
in
any way.
It doesn't sound like that's going to happen. Well, I saw a lot of, back in the day when I ran, marketing and admissions for nursing homes, we had a wound care doctor and then we had a wound care nurse that was in, they were in there every single day. Mm-hmm. Because those wounds were gnarly. And a lot of them, they were sedentary and not out of bed and things like that.
Sure.
But I just always remembered thinking like, because they would eventually, most of them would eventually end up passing because then it would turn into like MRSA and it would turn into, and then they die. Yep. And I'm like, how is this you're an actual wound care physician. how are you not healing these people? They're literally dying because of these open wounds just growing.
Why do we have these scenarios where you go into a hospital and you have an operation and then the operation goes fine, but you die from a bacterial infection?
Right.
And you're like, everything about the hospital is supposed to be sterility that doesn't involve any infections. You got the temperature in there cold enough to, freeze a live organism.
No, it's so cold.
And then it's, all of the prep work and everything, and we're still getting infections. What are we doing wrong?
Right.
Yeah.
That was one thing. So when I got COVID, I was actually with Sean. We had our summit, and Sean somehow didn't get it. This was in January of 2021, and I got it like bad. And when I say bad, like 70% of my hair fell out. There were like there's about 24 days I don't remember. I hallucinating. I was like talking to God.
Wow.
Like it was the crazy
near death experience.
Near
basically.
death. The night before I got out of bed, and this is no bullshit. So when I first got it, of course, the doctor, well, we're going to put you on an antibiotic. We're going to put you on all this other crap because he was treating like I had strep throat. And I was like, this isn't strep. Like, this isn't strep. Like,
doesn't feel like strep.
It feels like my organs are actually going off.
Right.
Like this doesn't feel like strep.
I'm seeing heavenly images when I close my eyes.
Literally.
I feel like I'm traveling to another place.
Yeah, I feel this. My soul is leaving my body. I don't know what's happening here, but it's not normal.
I don't think it's strep.
Yeah, he's like, oh, I think it's strep. Take this antibiotic, whatever, amoxicillin or whatever it was. Did that for 7 days, and then I'm just getting worse. And then I'm like, okay, this is definitely the flu, which I knew COVID was around, but everybody I was with all my staff. I was with Sean the night before. No one had it. So I was like, it can't be COVID. Like, there's no way. I was just with all these people. And this is no lie. About day 8, I got in bed and did not get out because I was in bed. It was about 22 to 24 days. And this is a true story. The night before I got out of bed, I hadn't bathed. I couldn't do anything. I mean, I was just sweating, high fever, hallucinating. And somebody had told me to take, melatonin, like large amounts of melatonin.
Interesting.
So I added that into my repertoire of what I was taking. And I really did turn around when I started the melatonin. But I mean, the night before I got out of bed, I was like talking to God, and I was like, if it's my time, just take me.
Right.
Because I physically thought it was the last days of my life. And I shit you not, Eric, after this conversation that I had, and it's weird because I couldn't see a face. It was just like a figure I could see. And the next morning I woke up and I felt like a new human.
Wow.
Got out of bed, showered. Yeah. It was the craziest shit. But I remember when it was
it was COVID.
Yes.
It was COVID.
Well, I mean, I never got tested for it, but it was.
But symptomatically, it seemed to run parallel to...
It took me a year to recover. Because that's then my hair started falling out, and it was bad that whole next year. But I was like, I'm not going to get vaccinated. I'm not going to go to the doctor. I just kind of let it roll. And now I'm much better. I gave time, but that was crazy to me. And I remember begging my birth mother at the time. She was here because I obviously couldn't physically care for my child. And I remember begging her to take me to the hospital. And this is going back to what you said, how they're supposed to be so sterile. And I remember her telling me, she was like, if I take you to the hospital, you will die.
Yeah. Slightly counterintuitive, right?
that was what she told me. And I'm like,
you're dying. Let me take you to the hospital. No. I think I'm going to be okay. If you take me to the hospital, I'm going to die.
What?
Okay. Wait, what?
What did you say? Run that back?
It's not supposed to work that way.
And I mean, I was hallucinating and stuff, but I remember that. And she was like, you will die if I take you. And I was like, but that's like the cleanest place on earth. What do you mean I'm going to die?
Yeah. maybe they'll put me on a ventilator and dry out
Right.
all of my mucosal membranes, my entire lung cavities.
Gosh.
You know,
It's so nice. But I loved that when I went to the doctor last week, I sent you all these B12 and all this stuff he put me on. You're like, it's all great.
oh yeah, that's right. You sent me the line of supplements that you
Yes.
actually purchased. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know, it's one thing I've learned is there's so many companies selling supplements these days. So when you start to have an eye for what they should be selling in whatever category of supplement we're discussing, it's a simple look at the label to tell you kind of where their formulation heads are at, if they're actually spending the money on the formulation or they're spending the money on the marketing.
Right. Right.
So
and
when I
marketing.
look at the labels, I'm like, okay, this is, hey, there.
Yeah, I sent you the front of it and you were like, no. You're like, send me the label of it.
Right.
I was like, what do you think about these?
I don't want to see the Hulk on the front going, oh, take this stuff.
Right.
You know,
But it's so true because marketing will seriously trip anybody up. If the
Yeah.
marketing's good enough, you're going
yeah.
to be like, oh, that's pretty and shiny. I want it. And then it
Yep.
actually sucks.
this will solve all your problems.
Yes.
I used to joke about this when I was in that industry. I said, there's, supplement companies that have marketing budgets. They make some sort of supplement. They've got a marketing budget. And then there are the marketing companies that have a supplement budget. They sell supplements, but the real goal is just marketing that supplement. So they don't have the
Right.
money to spend on the supplement that they should spend because it's going to cost too much. So
Right.
we're just going to tell them that it's really amazing and
If we're going to
let the
believe it and
marketing
take
do
it.
the work. Yeah.
It's so true though. Until I became like friends, like with you and your family, like I was a sucker for whatever marketing threw
Whatever
at
was
me.
hot, right?
Whatever was hot.
Yeah.
If I saw somebody doing it,
Yeah.
I was like, I'm going to do it. And especially in this age of YouTube and Instagram, all these influencers. And
Yep.
it's like, no, they're getting paid to tell you to take this.
Right,
That
right.
doesn't necessarily mean it's good for you or it's the best one out
Yep.
there.
And fortunately, it's like anything else. It requires the end user or the recipient of the marketing to do their own due diligence.
Right.
Right? Like, let's take a look at it. Let me understand if there's truth and validity to what they're saying about it, and let's see if they're using the right forms of the material that they're talking about and they're putting it together in the right manner, because more often than not, a lot of these companies, they see an opportunity like B12 is really hot. Let's get a B12 on the market. Like, well, okay, what's the cheapest form of B12 we can buy? It's this. Well, all the research that's showing that it's actually effective are based on this other form of B12 that costs 12 times more.
Right.
We're not going to use that. Let's
Right.
just kind of indicate that if we're using that one anyway, they won't know the difference.
Right.
And there you go.
Well, that I got hooked up on that with Hint. I drink a ton of Hint, and
What's that?
it's like the flavored water. And and on the bottle it says, natural flavors. Well, I was drinking.
But it's something you add to your water.
No, it's like it comes bottled, and there's all these different flavors.
Oh, I think I've seen those.
But I was
seen
drinking them nonstop, and the UTIs were happening a lot. The acidity was happening a lot. And my doctor finally was like, what natural flavors are in this? And so then you have to go to the website.
What were they sweetening it with?
Great,
Sucralose?
great question.
Yeah.
Because none of it's on the bottle. And I was just drinking it because I'm like, it's water. It's healthy.
Yeah.
I was drinking like 10 a day.
Right. Are they sweet?
They're not sweet. It's literally a hint of flavor.
Okay.
Hence the word. But
Well, the connection I was going to draw is that there are some of those artificial sweeteners that very much disrupt your microbiome in your body, your good bacteria.
yeah.
So if you were getting UTIs all the time and you were drinking a ton of material that had, let's say, one of these artificial sweeteners in there, they could be leading the way for UTIs if they're destroying all of the good bacteria in your urinary tract.
Well, and my PCB told me, he was like, stop drinking
Stop drinking them.
He's like, drink distilled water. That's literally what he
Yeah.
told me. He was like,
Well,
get rid of Hint.
Here's what I'll say about distilled water. I think
I don't drink distilled water.
Okay, good. Yeah, because
But our ice machines that we have,
Yeah.
we put distilled water in it.
sure, but then you're marrying that ice with things that have a normal balance. To
Right.
it. Whereas,
No, I don't.
Yeah.
When he told me to drink distilled water, I was like, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah. Well, people do that for detoxification. Distilled water, based on its charge, has the ability to sort of like pull toxins out of the environment that it's submersed in. But downside to that is that if you just are solely drinking distilled water, our bodies are designed to drink water that is mineral rich and has, a typical pH for what water in that environment would look like. Whereas distilled water is going to have some elements to it that will actually cause it to pull minerals out of your body. So,
right.
It's great for cleansing because you're going to yank some toxins and things out. But if you're drinking on a regular basis, it's also going to draw out much needed minerals, which that could be problematic.
Right.
We need to put them back.
Well, and my saying, everything in moderation.
Right.
Everything
100%.
in moderation.
Yes.
Okay.
I agree with that wholeheartedly.
I do. Because
especially with vodka.
Yes. That one's a good one to drink moderately.
Yes. Which, by the way, thank you for not letting me put ice in my drink this time. I didn't realize I had such an ice chewing habit till I got on camera.
I know, and it's so funny because like Sean and I laughed about it later because it doesn't sound loud in real life, but on the
right.
Oh my gosh, on the camera I was like, it sounds so
it's an earthquake
loud.
somewhere.
Yeah, like you're like breaking glass. I don't know.
It's a terrible habit that I didn't actually realize I had until I got on camera.
Yeah. Now you're
what
like,
are you doing with the ice, man? I'm like, I don't know, just
I know.
eating it.
Sean's like, no.
Yes.
Well,
Skull and crossbones, no ice.
thank you so much for coming back on today. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
And
Millicent, I would never pass up an opportunity to sit in this chair again, just so you know, because they're extremely comfortable.
Okay.
So if you do want me to come back on, as long as I can sit in this chair,
Yes.
it's a no-brainer.
Well, they're comfortable for you because your legs are so long and
I
there's
have a lot of
space
leg.
for you.
It's a problem. Yeah. Yep. I wish they were foldable and I had 2 more knee joints so I could stick them somewhere if I sat down in a normal chair.
Well, I will have you come back on.
Okay.
You and Milton, because I know y'all want to come on again.
Yeah. Well, I would love to have some discussion with Milton.
Yes, that's what I mean.
Yeah. That would be amazing.
We'll make it happen. We'll see you guys next time.
Thanks.
Thanks
For having me.
Yay. You're the best. That was so good. Okay,
Was that fun?
That's
Good?
the craziest story I've ever heard.